Thank you very much for inviting me to participate in this panel regarding the student protests that we're witnessing in many parts of the global north arising from the Israeli war on Gaza. This is indeed a momentous moment with respect to the growing international solidarity with all of those indispensable human rights organizations internationally and in the Middle East that have been working so valiantly for peace, freedom, and justice in Palestine and Israel. To see all of this youthful energy, compassion, and courage collectively and creatively organizing over an issue of rights and justice, occupation and dispossession, thousands of kilometers away from them, is really, truly inspiring. I want to emphasize that these student encampments and these protests are protected in law by the universal freedoms of expression and assembly. These same freedoms are embedded in the constitutions of many of the countries in the global north. The law recognizes that it is right to dissent, that universities are the incubators of debate and argument, and that many of the great social movements for rights over the last 60 years, from the war in Vietnam, the protests over apartheid South Africa, and our climate emergency, have originated and grown on the university campuses around the world. There is always a struggle in society and globally between law in the service of power and law in the service of justice. We are seeing this played out now, particularly in the US, but also certainly in other global north countries as well, with the use by universities of police and the courts to curb and suppress these student encampments and protests. The political right in many countries has seized upon these protests to attack their legitimacy, arguing that they're incubators of anti-Semitism and supporters of Hamas, that they represent only privileged students, and that these students are naive, violent, and undisciplined. Let's remember that every major student protest movement over the past 6 decades has been attacked for their goals, for their tactics, and for their supposed naivety. Power always reacts in this way to long-standing claims for justice. We who are not directly involved in these protests have to ensure that we separate the justice of the students' claims from the predicted objections coming from those who support the injustice of the Israeli occupation, who have no words of criticism for the unfolding genocide, and who support the moral blindness of the universities in the global north, who are indifferent to the impact of their investments in Israel and their academic relationships with Israeli universities. My final word for the students who have helped to ignite this increasing focus on the war crimes and the unfolding genocide in Gaza and in Palestine. Some of the most ennobling pictures that I have seen have come from the Palestinians huddled in their wretched tents in Rafah and Khan Yunis, who've created posters of support and thanks to the students everywhere for who are demonstrating the indispensability of human solidarity. Keep it up, these posters are saying. We salute your humanity. Let's all keep that in our minds and our hearts. Thank you very much.